the KAKE Studios. This is KAKE News on your side at 11.
Wildfires raged through parts of KAKE land, forcing people from their homes. Good morning, everyone. Those wildfires burning hundreds of thousands of acres across KAKE land, taking a devastating toll on homes in those counties across parts of western Kansas. Now, a news conference is supposed to get underway at any time in Reno County, and when it does, we'll go live to that so you can hear the very latest information from that news conference. But as those fires continue to burn across KAKE land, some residents were evacuated out of their homes. KAKE's Chris Frank is live in Clark County near the town of Ashland. Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Jamel. I'm just a few miles north of Ashland, and behind me is the house of a rancher here, a very large rancher. This ranch of Dave Bozaiden's has about 15 or 20,000 acres, I'm told, and this was quite the house to see, including a trophy room and all sorts of things. And you can see, I'm going to get out of the way, just what is left of it. Nothing's left of it. It burned to the ground, and even behind you can see those hills up there. They're just scorched. The fire burned many of his outbuildings, and a farmhand that I had talked to just a little while ago tells me that the farmhands are out collecting dead cattle. More 70, 80 head of cattle were killed in this, and I'm going to get you more video coming up at 11:35, but right now I'm going to pitch it back to you, Jamel. We're live north of Ashland. Chris Frank, KAKE News.
Now, we do want to get back to that news conference here in just a minute. It'll be underway in Reno County in just a little bit, but we want to tell you, we talked to a rancher out in Ashland early this morning who was very emotional. He had to sleep in his car with his wife overnight as he waited to see if the flames would reach his home. It had not, but it did burn down his brother's home. And so we were waiting for a news conference out of Reno County this morning to see how the fires are there as they continue to watch those, and people have been evacuated. School canceled for most of the Christian schools and some of the other schools in Reno County, but Hutchinson Public Schools still in session. In Pratt County now, one firefighter was sent to the hospital for smoke inhalation. That fire started west of the city around 11 yesterday morning. Authorities say they've made progress. The fire there is finally under control. However, it's possible they could see a flare-up as long as the wind is blowing. And in the town of Wilson, a wildfire is forcing evacuations near Wilson Lake. These photos of the fire sent to us by a viewer. The Kansas Highway Patrol says the fire was crossing Interstate 70. The highway was closed when flames started in the median of the road. At last check, the fire was mostly contained north of I-70 and east of Wilson Lake. At least 3 homes in the town of Ransom are damaged by fire. The sheriff's office went door to door alerting residents of the danger. All residents are believed to be safe. Some were evacuated to the hospital and the high school. A semi-truck driver is killed in a crash during the fires. The Great Bend Post reporting the man died from smoke inhalation yesterday evening due to poor visibility. The driver tried to back up and jackknifed, blocking the road. 3 adults and 3 kids were hurt when 2 different SUVs ended up hitting the tractor trailer. 39-year-old Corey Holt of Oklahoma City died at the hospital from smoke inhalation injuries. Earlier today, Governor Sam Brownback spoke about the situation from the Kansas Department of Emergency Management in Topeka about the situation across Kansas.
I want to really urge people to just stay with it, hang in there. We've got, it looks like, a couple more days of weather like this. We've got extremely dry conditions across the state. We had great weather last year. It's tender for a fire, and you got the wind that comes in. As these fires stopped, you get them suppressed for a while, then the wind switches directions, and they pop back up again. So everybody just got to keep fighting. We've got more resources coming into place. We're getting more mutual aid put into the various places. And then if you see anything at all, just get on top of it and report it as soon as possible.
Here's a look at all the Kansas counties experiencing active wildfires at this time. According to the State Emergency Operations Center, 21 counties in total are being affected. Some fires have been mostly contained, but fire crews are still working to monitor flare-ups. Several roads are also closed. You can find a full list by dialing 511 or visiting candrive.com. The Kansas Department of Emergency releasing more information on the fires. In Clark County, more than 351,000 acres have been burned and 30 structures and bridges were damaged. In Ford County, 7 homes were destroyed. In Reno County, more than 30 homes were destroyed. More were damaged and 6,000 acres were burned. More than 10,000 acres in Rooks County were burned, destroying 2 homes. And stay with KAKE News for continuing coverage of the wildfire danger across Kansas. Look for updates anytime on our website, KAKE.com. Now, we do want to find out about those winds to see if they're going to be stronger or they're going to let up a little bit. Let's get right over to Ben to find out. What do you have for us?
Yeah, still a blustery day out there today, but nowhere near what we had yesterday. And I got to say, in my entire career, I have never seen a fire day like we had yesterday. In fact, KAKE's Doppler HD had an incredible amount of smoke on it yesterday afternoon, particularly from the southwestern portions of our state. And as you can see, not nearly as much smoke showing up this morning, but down here south and east of Ashland, we apparently do have a fire still going on here just north and east of Willard, Oklahoma. The smoke now trailing off to the south and east with a breezy northwest wind. So we still have extremely high fire danger around the entire state. We do have a red flag warning in effect for the entire state. In fact, and it looks like extremely high fire danger is going to continue the rest of the day. Breaking news, we're going to take it back to Jamel right now.
And we'll get to that news conference in Reno County on these wildfires.
However, a flyover is planned with a Hutchinson firefighter and a Kansas Highway Patrol trooper to get a more accurate picture of the damage. We know many residents were evacuated and anxious for information about their properties and homes. So we hope to begin damage assessment later today so we can give out accurate information. The evacuation area remains closed. The area is Hendricks Street to Highway K61, from 30th Avenue to 108th Avenue or the county line. However, those with physical addresses on 30th Street have been allowed to return. All areas north of 30th still remain closed. We have heard reports of residents returning to homes to collect belongings. We strongly emphasize the importance of remaining out of the evacuation area. When the wind shifts and there is a great deal of unburned fuel, there is no way to be safe. Also, helicopters are doing water drops. If they spot people in the area, they must abort their operation. Law enforcement officers continue to provide security in the evacuation zone. The shelter at the encampment building at the Kansas State Fairgrounds remains open, and there were 70 evacuees in the shelter this morning. There is also a pet shelter open at the fairgrounds, including spaces for horses. For information and updates, residents can call 211, which is an information hotline ran by the United Way. Also, the United Way will be taking financial donations for those impacted by the fire. You can contact 211 about the donations. 100% of those donations will be back to the local community. Also, evacuees are encouraged to register as safe and well on the American Red Cross website. That's safeandwell.communityon.org so that loved ones know you are safe. We have been overwhelmed with the generosity of the community and donations for our first responders. If you wish to donate items, please bring them to the Garden Center at Walmart, 1905 East 17th. Requested items include water, Gatorade, high-protein snacks, eye drops, contact solution, baby wipes, over-the-counter allergy medication, and phone chargers. Please do not bring items to the fire station. The Salvation Army and Red Cross are coordinating the feeding of first responders. The National Guard will continue airdrops throughout the day. Just a reminder to local drone operators that they are prohibited during these airdrops. If a drone is spotted, the airdrop operations will be halted immediately. Currently, there are over 230 responders still out on the scene from 116 agencies. We are asking for everyone to remain out of the area so that first responders can do their job safely, because this is because this is a long way from being over. Again, Chief Hainan.
I'll take a few questions.
Chief, talk about what happened since about 2 o'clock this morning as far as how the fire has, where it has gone, where it is at this moment, and your ability now to get a little bit better of assessment of what's happening now that the sun has come up again.
Okay. As you can imagine, 230 plus responders is quite a task to manage and organize. So that did take quite some time this morning to get organized. They are in place. They are actively working on the fire lines, trying to contain the fire. At this point, the fire is not moved. The wind has been gentle to us, but we are expecting gusts this afternoon, and we are on high alert for any possible escapes that we may have. So this is why it continues to be a very serious situation. A little wind shift in either direction could send it the way we're not anticipating it. So we're asking everybody to please stay out of the area.
Chief, there has been some reports out about numbers of homes damaged. Do you have any information on that at this time?
No, that's the damage assessment will begin this afternoon.
Any injuries, fatalities?
We'll be assessing that this afternoon.
Talk about the area. I know there was talk last night, and there was scanner traffic. We were listening to what was going on about the ability to try to get to homes who are on those two-lane sandy driveways that are 400 yards back off the roads, and you're not wanting to get firefighters trapped in those sandy areas and on those narrow areas where they would have no escape.
Yeah, it was. I haven't had a chance to debrief with the guys that were in the field, but we're taught there's defendable space and there's undefendable space, and it doesn't do us any good to lose our firefighters. So I'm sure they had to make some judgment calls. I'm sure there was very tough decisions made last night, but fortunately, all our guys came home, and we'll get a better view of the assessment this afternoon when we get out there. Let's take a question from somebody else, please. Anybody else? I thought you had one.
Any acreage estimates at this point? A feeling for how big this is?
We know that it's 7 miles long in Reno County, and we anticipate it's about a half mile wide. 6,000 acres is a number that we've been throwing around, but that's not accurate until we get out there and actually get the GPS coordinates and can get a better handle on it.
What about the reason for moving the evacuation zone? It started at Plum, moved back to Monroe, moved back again to Hendricks. Talk about the reason behind moving, even though the fire was moving east, more or less, about moving the evacuation zones back towards Hendricks.
Last night we experienced 2 wind shifts. The first one was to the west, and then we got a wind shift to the north, and we did not have a handle on the back side of the fire, and it started moving south on us. So to be on the safe side, because we were well short of resources that we needed here, we felt it was best to get people moving while they had a chance. So
there are rumors out there that there is a fatality. Can you say one way or the other if there are any fatalities?
I don't know for sure. Now I can tell you the fatality that we are known is not this fire. It's out west. Is that right, Sheriff? It's in I don't know. I'm well inundated with this fire. I'm not up to date with what's going on across the state. So
Chief, it's going to be cooler today. Does that help you guys in any way?
Not at this point. The humidity is still really low, and that's the big thing. The wind is at 25 plus. We were talking this morning. It's only 25 today. But that's still serious, especially with a 12% humidity level that we're supposed to experience this afternoon.
Are we supposed to get another shift in wind, or is everything going to stay relatively the same as it is right now?
We're anticipating a west wind, which is what we have set. That's what we were experiencing last night, and we've heavily been concentrating on that eastern side to maintain it at K61 and at 56th Street. So we feel pretty confident there. We do know that the winds are going to rotate a little bit to the north tonight, and then they're supposed to rotate again tomorrow out of the south. So we've got more planning to do and prepare for that. So.
Do you have any idea how long it's going to take you guys to get this fire out?
Not at this point.
Just the amazement that I know that people expressed was just how fast this fire moved, but two, how fast it came up again when it started at 6 o'clock last night.
Absolutely, and that contributes to the dry conditions and the extreme weather that we had yesterday. It was a recipe for disaster.
I know you can't help it. How many people, Walker Russo Fire Department, all the people that have come out here, I mean, it just is massive, especially when you take into account 22 counties had some kind of fire yesterday.
Absolutely. State resources have been difficult to get, but they're still pouring in. We're extremely grateful. And again, I'm going to repeat what the sheriff said in the statement. Please do not go to the fire stations. We have firefighters that are trying to sleep. We desperately need them to rehab so that we can use them again on another cycle. We're starting to get cities to send us fire engines that can protect the city of Hutchinson so that our crews can get all the rest that they can get. So we're starting to turn those operations over to other cities that have sent resources so that we can get our guys some rest and be able to jump back in when our resources go low again.
Any update on Jupiter Hills? I know yesterday around 4, it was 95% contained. Any update on that?
At this point, it's being patrolled. We do not have anything outstanding in it. We're hoping to have that completely contained tonight at this operational period at 8 o'clock.
We talked about the challenges of the Highlands yesterday and the challenges of Jupiter Hills and the different challenges. What about this area, the area, you know, from Plum to 61 and from 56 on north? What are the terrain and the houses and things? What are some of the challenges?
It's the same terrain we've been dealing with. It's rolling dunes, rolling sand, grown cedars, 2-lane driveways that are overgrown, and the biggest challenges here is we had a lot of structures in the path. So,
thank you.
How many firefighters and where are they from?
There's over 230 responders out of 116 agencies are on scene right now.
Is it just one major fire, or do you have a lot of breakouts all around town?
At this point, we think it's one. I mean, there could be what we call fingers, and that's what the assessment team, the plane's going to tell us here shortly with the pictures and things. So we're going to get a much better handle on this through this afternoon, and we'll probably have some more definite details later on.
Talk about the difficulty because of the darkness. I mean, you know, the darkness and the smoke and everything, to make sure everybody is where they are. And really, like you said, what was your plan, you know, by 12 midnight when the fire got to 56 and towards K61 Holston, of just trying to keep things under control right there when you have so little visibility of what you're facing?
Absolutely. I mean, our guys are extremely familiar with the area, but we're dealing with outside resources that were here, and the night just makes it even that much more difficult. The glow looks much more impressive. The smoke makes it even more difficult. But the plan, once it jumped Plum Street, the plan pretty much turned to 56th and K61, and we had to make the stand there. That was our best point to do it. We had wide roads. K61's very wide, so that's what we did, and so far we've held it. So.
For folks that are out of town and may not be as familiar with your streets, did it actually get into city limits?
No.
How far away from the city?
It's a mile north of the city limits.
Thank you.
When do you anticipate people returning to their homes in the area?
We can't answer that until we get a damage assessment.
I don't know if you answer this, but how many people total estimated have been evacuated?
We have 70 in the shelter. Like I said, we'll get a much better handle on this once we get an idea where the actual fire area is to decide or figure out how many homes are actually in the path.
I know I've kind of, but the part of the city, meaning 30th to 33rd, 35th, 36th, before you start getting out to the open terrain before 43rd, just that concentration of people, is that because of the concentration of people in those areas north of 30th, is that why you moved the evacuation back to 30th, just because of the ability to make sure those people get out?
We're still dealing with a predominantly northwest. If we lose our fire line, we got to have time to catch it, and we're just erring on the side of safety at this point. You know, we haven't been able to go out and do our assessment. We're hoping for the best, and we'd like to keep it at that. So,
thank you.
We set a time for the next one?
Yes, 3 o'clock back here. And again, if you would stress, we've made some people very unhappy this morning.
And there will be another news conference at 3 o'clock today. And of course, we'll keep you updated on all of this in Reno County, out in Clark County, and some of the other areas where wildfires are hitting KAKE land. About 70 people right now are in the shelter there in Reno County. They have 230 responders, and the National Guard is making airdrops trying to get this fire under control. We'll be right back.
This is KAKE News at 11 with Jamel Holliferrick, Shane Ewing, and meteorologist Ben Pringle with your KAKE First Alert forecast. KAKE News on your side.
Well, generally crystal clear skies as we look off to the south-southwest in our Central Care Cancer Center KCAM. 55 degrees out at the airport with a west wind at 14, gusting to 23, so not the extreme wind that we had yesterday, but very dry air in place around the entire state. So that's going to keep the fire danger obviously very high today. Here's some of the peak wind gusts today from the KAKE First Alert Weather Bug Network, the exclusive KAKE First Alert Weather Bug Network. Winds gusting up over 40 miles per hour in Hoxie, but between 35 and 40 miles per hour, Argonia, El Dorado, as well as east side of Wichita. So not quite as windy today. Still blustery in the northwest. Winds gusting to nearly 50 miles per hour in St. Francis. Gusts more like 20 to 30 or so in the southwest, and the same here in the central part of the state. West winds around the state, and they're going to continue out of the west, it looks like, through the day today, backing off a little bit as we head into the late afternoon and evening hours. 55, Wichita, El Dorado, Hutch, Salinas, 56, 54 in Pratt. Temperatures in low 50s in the southwest, upper 40s and low 50s in the northwestern part of our state. There's those thunderstorms rolling out of southeastern Kansas yesterday. We had some damage, some severe thunderstorms in the southeastern portions of our state. It looks like the focus of severe weather is going to be through the Tennessee Valley, southeastern portions of the country today. We're going to have high pressure settling in. That'll knock our winds down overnight tonight, turns winds back around to the south tomorrow. They'll be kind of borderline breezy, but once again, not the extreme winds that we've had over the last couple of days. Comparatively light, in fact. As we head into Thursday, mostly sunny skies will continue. It looks like Thursday evening we're going to have a little shot of cooler air drop through here. I think this one is going to be another dry front for most of KAKE land, but as we head into Friday evening, I'm expecting some increase in clouds, and we do have a storm system that's going to be approaching from the south and west. That's going to be our best chance of rain we've had in some time, at least for most of central and eastern Kansas. That'll be Friday night and Saturday morning. Today's highs around south central Kansas up into the low to mid 60s with a breezy northwest wind. Winds diminishing overnight tonight, upper 20s and low 30s for overnight lows. So kind of a cold night for us. The planner for south central Kansas, including Wichita, Hutchinson, Winfield, and Ark City, shows temperatures back into the low to mid 70s. We've dropped the windy and breezy word off the screen, as you can see, so that's the good news. Slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm back Friday. Best chance is only going to be Friday night and Saturday morning, so cross your fingers we can get some of that action. Forecast around north central Kansas. The rest of the day, it's a little windier up in the north central part of our state. Temperatures in the low 60s for highs. For tonight, we'll drop into the mid to upper 20s for lows. The planner for north central Kansas, including Salina, Hayes, Great Bend, and Russell, shows temperatures climbing back into the low 70s over the next couple of days. A little cooler Friday. You too have that chance of rainfall. It looks like Friday night and early Saturday. Western Kansas going to be a sunny, windy day here, particularly across northwestern Kansas. Upper 50s and low 60s for highs. For tonight, winds finally diminishing. Temps dropping into the low to mid 20s for lows. The planner for southwestern Kansas, including Garden City, Dodge, and Liberal, shows temperatures rebounding into the low 70s. Looks like for Wednesday and Thursday. Slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm or two, it looks like, for Friday night and Saturday, so the rain not quite so promising out west. The planner for northwestern Kansas, Colby, Goodland, Norton, and Hill City, unfortunately shows you folks being dry. I think you'll have climbed back to around 70 degrees by Wednesday. Cooling off a little bit Thursday and Friday. Temperatures in the low 60s for highs this weekend.
Okay, nice temperatures, though. We just need to get some rain to help with those wildfires.
A little better chance here in central Kansas to finish the week. Not much promise out west.
Thank you, Ben. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Miss Inspired Kansas pageant was organized to give a platform to single moms to display their gifts and talents and to create a network of support for single moms in this region. And here to tell us all about it, we have Charity McGee. I think this is fantastic about a pageant for women who are single, divorced, or widowed. And what are some of the other qualifications?
Yes, ages 20 and up, we are asking any single mom, like you said, unwed, divorced, or widowed, who would like to represent herself and her community here in Wichita to please apply. They can go to www.kake.org missinspiredkansas.com. And this is just about building a network of support for moms, as well as we want to build confidence. And also, because sometimes we can get lost in our identities, and we just think that all I am is just a mom, and we want to help encourage young ladies to know, let's display those gifts and those talents and just help build that integrity and confidence.
And
for
when
young
is
moms.
the pageant?
The pageant will be held this year at Century 2, August the 26th at 6 p.m. So yeah, we're just encouraging any young lady who would be interested again in representing herself and her community to apply.
I love it. Where do they go to apply?
They can again go to www.missinspiredkansas.com, and that's in-spired.com to apply.
Well, thanks, Charity. It's a great idea, and we're going to have her back on once it gets closer to the pageant as well.
Thank you, Jamel.
We'll be right back. A Clark County rancher is forced to spend the night in his vehicle as he watches the flames creep closer and closer to his home. We talked with Garth Gardner from Ashland earlier this morning.
It looks like hell, Jamel.
I am so sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so much devastation.
Now, your brother lost his home, right? Your brother, he lost his ranch.
Yeah. Well, he was right in the middle of a ranch. He lost his house. And, we had some cows that were in the fire. And, I guess the important thing is that they're okay. And, they're going to be fine. We can replace the material things. But it's really tough.
And Garth, you've lived out there your entire life. What is it like to see these fires threatening everything you've had?
Yeah, it's tough. This is a beautiful part of the country. The people don't really know about our area and, the beauty that it has with the chip hills, the rolling hills, the grass. And to see it be consumed like this, and the devastation that it has to personal property and homes, and I can't imagine the millions of dollars of damage that this has done to agricultural land and fences, and homes, and livelihood of hardworking people that live out here.
Absolutely. What are you seeing right now, and what are you doing right now?
Right now I'm driving back to my house, and I just see a wall of flames. South of my house, probably 100 yards.
And we will go to Chris Frank in Clark County when we come back from the break. We continue our team coverage this morning with KAKE's Chris Frank. He is live in Clark County with the latest on these wildfires. Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Jamel. I'm 4 miles north of the town of Ashland, and I can see plumes of smoke just south of Ashland where fires are still flaring up. And I've seen fires in the area both here in Clark County and over in Comanche County, but mainly here in Clark County. Right now, we're on the David Besaiden's ranch. And if I could introduce David here. David, your house of more than 30 years behind us, gone, lickety split. Tell me what happened.
It didn't take long. Probably when the wind changed, it must have been blowing 60 gusts to 70, and that fire was on me. And it traveled 6-7 miles in 6-7 minutes.
In fact, you were trying to do defensive work out there with your tractor, is that right?
I was disking a fire guard around the house when I noticed the wind changed. Well, when I noticed it had changed here, it had already changed up north, and so that fire was coming at 60 miles an hour, and in less than 100 yards on my tractor, I had fire around me. Couldn't see for the smoke, drove the tractor through the fence, actually hit the corner of the hay barn where my pickup was parked, was able to walk the hay barn down, get in my pickup, and get in the wheat field south of the house. And that's where I stayed till the worst of it blew by. But there's hundreds of thousands of acres destroyed in this from south of Mineola to clear down in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And thousands of head of cattle that have been destroyed in this. I know I just talked to my neighbor and they probably lost 85% of their cows.
And you lost 70, 80, or more than 100 head, you're saying?
Oh, easy, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We haven't got a count yet, but all of our cows were calving right now, so we had them close to the house, and of course you save those pastures to calve in, so the fuel was big, and they had no chance. They couldn't get away from it.
And that's the sad thing, and I know you and your ranch hands are collecting the carcasses now. And right now, we're going to have more about this coming up in later KAKE newscast and more on the losses around Ashland. Right now, we're live north of Ashland. We'll have more news after the break.